The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Picture this. You are sitting across from someone who has just outmaneuvered you in a meeting, stolen credit for your work, and somehow convinced your boss it was all your idea. You walk away confused, maybe even a little embarrassed, wondering how that just happened. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. That person was not smarter than you. They were not more talented. They simply understood something you did not. They understood power. Robert Greene spent years studying the most ruthless, cunning, and brilliantly strategic people who ever walked this earth. Kings, warlords, courtiers, con artists, revolutionaries, and geniuses. He pulled apart their stories, their tactics, their psychology, and their mistakes. And he compressed everything he found into one of the most controversial books ever written. The 48 Laws of Power. A book that has sold over 5 million copies, been banned in some American prisons because authorities feared what inmates would do with the knowledge inside, and has been simultaneously praised by CEOs and condemned by critics who call it a manual for manipulation. Today we are going inside this book. All 48 laws, not just a surface-level overview, but the real philosophy behind them, why they work, and what Greene is actually trying to teach you about the world we all live in. Before we get into the actual laws, let us address the elephant in the room. This book is not for people who want to believe the world is purely good and fair. Greene himself says something powerful in the introduction. He is not telling you the world should work this way. He is showing you that it does work this way, whether you like it or not. Ignoring power is not neutrality, it is surrender. So let us begin. The first cluster of laws is all about the single most dangerous thing you can do in any environment, which is standing out in the wrong ways or threatening the wrong people. Law 1 tells you to never outshine the master. Whatever you do, never make those above you feel inferior. People in positions of power have enormous insecurity lurking beneath the surface. If you make them feel overshadowed, even accidentally, they will find a way to eliminate you. Greene gives the example of Nicolas Fouquet, finance minister to King Louis XIV of France. Fouquet threw the most magnificent party in French history to honor the king, trying to impress him. The king was so humiliated by being outdone that he had Fouquet arrested just 3 weeks later. The lesson is not to hide your talent. It is to always make those above you feel that your talent reflects well on them. Law 2 says never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. This one shocks people at first, but the logic is airtight. Friends can become resentful because they feel they deserve your help as a given. Enemies who you bring into your circle, however, have everything to prove. They are hungry, they are grateful, and they are far more motivated. Greene points to the Chinese emperor who hired his enemy to run his spy network, knowing that a former enemy would work twice as hard to prove loyalty. Law 3 says conceal your intentions. Never let people know what you are actually working toward. When people know your goals, they can block them. When they do not know your goals, they cannot stop what they cannot see. Keep your real moves hidden behind decoys and distractions. Law 4 says always say less than necessary. When you talk too much, you reveal your thinking, you give people ammunition, and you appear less powerful. Silence is strength. The more you say, the more ordinary you seem. Powerful people speak deliberately and sparingly, which makes every word they do say carry greater weight. Law 5 is about reputation, and Greene treats this almost like a sacred law. Guard your reputation with your life. Reputation is the foundation upon which all power is built. A single attack on your reputation can destroy years of work if you do not respond decisively. Build your name as a fortress and never allow cracks to form without addressing them immediately. Laws 6 and 7 tell you to court attention at all costs and get others to do the work for you while you take the credit. These are two sides of the same coin. Power requires visibility and leverage. You need to always be in the spotlight, always drawing eyes toward you, and you need to build systems where other people's effort amplifies your results. This is not cruelty. This is how every powerful institution in history has functioned. Law 8 gets into psychological depth. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When you are the one who moves toward others, you give them control. But when you set bait, When you create something irresistible that draws them into your territory, you hold all the power in the interaction. Great negotiators and seducers throughout history understood that controlling the location, the timing, and the terms of an encounter meant winning before the conversation even started. Law 9 says win through your actions, never through argument. You can be completely right, and arguing about it can still make you lose. When you argue, even if you win the debate, you often create resentment. Demonstrating your point through results and action bypasses resistance entirely. People cannot argue with what they have seen with their own eyes. Law 10 introduces a concept that is subtle but essential. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. Greene is talking about what modern psychology calls emotional contagion. Misery, negativity, failure, and bad luck are psychologically contagious. The people around you shape your reality, your mood, your beliefs, and your outcomes. Choosing your associations deliberately is not coldness. It is survival. Law 11 says, learn to keep people dependent on you. Independence is valuable, but being indispensable is power. If you can create a situation where people need you, where your skills, knowledge, or relationships cannot be easily replaced, you become untouchable. The moment you become dispensable, your power evaporates. Law 12 brings us to one of the most psychologically sophisticated laws in the book. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. One sincere gesture, one genuine moment of openness or giving can lower someone's guard completely, making everything else you do seem trustworthy. This is why the most effective manipulators in history were not cold and calculating on the surface. They were warm, generous, and even charming. Laws 13 through 15 form a trio about positioning. When asking for help, appeal to self-interest rather than mercy or gratitude. People are fundamentally motivated by what benefits them, not by abstract notions of kindness. Pose as a friend, but work as a spy, gathering information through casual conversation and observation. And crush your enemy totally. Half measures leave survivors who become future threats. Greene draws on Caesar and Napoleon here, both of whom understood that incomplete victories planted the seeds of future defeats. Law 16 tells you to use absence to increase respect and honor. What is always present loses value. What disappears creates hunger. This is why rare things are expensive. It is why the person who pulls back becomes more desired. Creating scarcity around yourself, around your time, your presence, your attention, is a fundamental law of attraction in both personal and professional life. Law 17 says keep others in suspended terror by cultivating an air of unpredictability. Predictability allows others to plan around you and against you. When your behavior is unpredictable, people become focused on trying to figure out what you will do next rather than executing their own strategies. This creates a constant psychological advantage. Law 18 says do not build a fortress to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. This seems to contradict the idea of independence, but Greene makes the distinction clearly. Withdrawing from the world cuts you off from information, from allies, from the currents of change happening around you. Power requires connection to the world, not retreat from it. Law 19 is one that catches people off guard. Know who you are dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Greene categorizes the types of people you might encounter as enemies and the catastrophic mistakes that can come from underestimating them, provoking those with wounded pride, or angering people with nothing to lose. Reading people accurately before you act is not optional. It is essential. Law 20 says, do not commit to anyone. Stay free. When you commit too fully to one side, one person, or one position, you give them power over you and lose the leverage that neutrality provides. The most powerful players in any game are often the ones that every faction wants on their side. Now we enter a middle section of the laws that deal more specifically with power in action and how to wield it strategically. Law 21 says play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. This is one of the oldest tactics in human history. When you pretend to know less than you do, people underestimate you, show their hands, and walk directly into traps they never saw coming. Greene traces this back to courtly behavior in medieval Europe, where appearing slightly dim was actually a masterful survival strategy. Law 22 says use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. When you are weaker than your opponent, fighting directly is foolish. Instead, surrendering strategically allows you to survive, wait, and eventually reverse the situation. This is not cowardice. This is intelligence. Many of history's most successful reversals came from people who were willing to bow down temporarily and then rise when the moment was right. Law 23 says, concentrate your forces. Do not spread yourself too thin. Whether you are talking about resources, attention, energy, or effort, the most powerful results always come from focus rather than diffusion. Napoleon won battle after battle by concentrating overwhelming force at a single point rather than spreading his army across a long front. Law 24 says, play the perfect courtier. Understand the game of the court. Whether that court is a medieval palace, a corporate boardroom, or a social media landscape. The skills of the courtier include flattering without appearing to flatter, criticizing without creating enemies, and always making those in power feel that their interests align with yours. Law 25 may be the most counterintuitive in the entire book. Recreate yourself. Do not accept the identity that society assigns you. Build and project a new identity that you have consciously designed. Control how you are seen, what you are known for, and what story people tell about you. This is the law that modern personal branding is built upon. Law 26 says, keep your hands clean. Always have someone else to do the dirty work. Distance yourself from anything controversial or morally questionable. This is not just about protecting your reputation in the short term. It is about maintaining the psychological illusion that you are above conflict and above reproach, even when you are not. Law 27 is psychologically fascinating. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Human beings are desperate to believe in something greater than themselves. They want vision, mystery, ritual, and promise. The most powerful leaders throughout history, whether political, religious, or commercial, have understood how to manufacture belief and channel it into loyalty. Law 28 says, enter action with boldness. Timidity invites more danger than audacity does. Hesitation reads as weakness. Bold action, even when it seems reckless, creates a psychological aura that makes others step back. Greene uses the example of Napoleon's early campaigns, where his sheer audacity repeatedly confused and overwhelmed far larger and better equipped armies. Law 29 is a law of architecture, metaphorically speaking. Plan all the way to the end. Most people plan to the point where they take action and then hope the rest works out. Strategic thinkers map out every possible consequence, every obstacle, and every outcome before they begin. This gives them options and responses where others have only improvises. Law 30 says, make your accomplishments seem effortless. Never reveal how hard you work. When people see the struggle, they see the mechanism, and the mechanism destroys the magic. The greatest performers in any field make the impossibly difficult look natural. This maintains the aura of power that comes from seeming to be in a different category entirely. Law 31 says, control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Real control is not forcing someone to do something. Real control is creating a situation where every option they have leads to an outcome you want. This is how great strategists, negotiators, and even magicians operate. The illusion of choice is far more powerful than obvious coercion. Law 32 says play to people's fantasies. The truth is often harsh and unwelcome, but fantasy is always welcome. People reward those who give them what they want to believe about themselves, about the world, and about what is possible. This is why great stories, great brands, and great leaders all deal in myth and possibility rather than cold reality. Law 33 says discover each man's thumbscrew. Every person has a weakness, a need, a fear, or a desire that can be used to influence them. Finding and understanding that lever is the foundation of real influence over another person. Greene is careful to frame this as a tool of understanding, not just manipulation, because knowing what drives someone allows you to motivate them, manage them, and partner with them more effectively. Law 34 says be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. How you carry yourself determines how others perceive you, and therefore how they treat you. Self-worth cannot be faked in the long run, but it can be practiced and embodied. There is a feedback loop between how you present yourself and how others respond to you that either builds or destroys your position over time. Law 35 is about mastering timing. Master the art of timing. There are moments when action creates momentum and moments when action creates destruction. Reading the rhythm of events, knowing when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to fall silent, separates the strategist from the reactive actor who is always 2 steps behind. Law 36 says, disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. When you visibly want something you cannot have, you give power to those who possess it. But when you treat it as beneath your concern, when you turn away from it with genuine or performed indifference, you rob it of its power over you and often draw it closer in the process. Law 37 says, create compelling spectacles. Never underestimate the power of symbols and visual displays. Human beings are not primarily rational creatures. We are emotional ones. Grand gestures, ceremonies, symbols, and spectacles bypass analytical thinking and land directly in the emotional brain where real decisions are made. Law 38 says, think as you like, but behave like others. Expressing unconventional beliefs in conventional environments invites punishment. The world has always been hostile to those who deviate too visibly from the accepted norms. Strategic conformity on the outside allows you the freedom to pursue radical goals on the inside without attracting the resistance that open rebellion would invite. Law 39 says, stir up waters to catch fish. Anger and emotion are the enemies of clear thinking. If you can destabilize your opponent emotionally, you gain a massive strategic advantage. More importantly, this law reminds you that letting yourself be baited into emotional reactions is one of the most reliable ways to lose power in any situation. Law 40 says, despise the free lunch. What is offered for free almost always carries a hidden cost. This might be obligation, dependency, guilt, or compromise. Real power comes from earning and paying for what you have, because that is what creates genuine ownership. Greene notes that the most seemingly generous people in history were often the ones accumulating the deepest debts from others. Law 41 says, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Following a legend is a trap. Trying to carry on someone else's legacy, whether a parent, a predecessor, or a cultural icon, means you are always being compared to someone who exists in memory as perfect. The only way to build real power in that position is to create something entirely new, to move so far in a different direction that comparisons become impossible. Law 42 is one of the most practically useful laws in the book. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Every group, every movement, every organization has a few key individuals whose energy, influence, or charisma holds everything together. If you deal with the masses while ignoring these central figures, nothing changes. But if you address the source, the rest resolves itself. Law 43 says work on the hearts and minds of others. Coercion and force can control behavior, but only temporarily and at enormous cost. Real lasting power comes from winning people's emotional loyalty and genuine belief. Greene draws heavily on examples of both political and military leaders who failed because they controlled bodies but never won hearts. Law 44 says, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Mirroring someone's behavior reflects their own actions back at them in a way that neutralizes their aggression or exposes their hypocrisy. It also creates a deep psychological discomfort that is extremely hard for people to process or argue against because it removes the moral high ground they were standing on. Law 45 says, preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. People are deeply uncomfortable with radical change even when they say they want it. Moving too fast creates chaos, resistance, and backlash. The most effective reformers in history, whether in politics, business, or culture, moved in steps, each one building acceptance before the next was introduced. Law 46 says, never appear too perfect. Appearing too superior or too flawless creates envy and resentment among those around you. Occasionally showing small, carefully chosen flaws makes you more human, more likable, and less threatening. It also prevents people from dedicating themselves to finding and exposing your real weaknesses. Law 47 says, do not go past the mark you aim for. In victory, learn when to stop. One of the most consistent patterns in the history of power is the destruction that comes from overreach. Conquerors who kept conquering past the point of consolidation, CEOs who kept expanding past the point of sustainability, rulers who kept pushing past the point of acceptance. Knowing when you have achieved enough and choosing to stop is one of the rarest and most valuable forms of strategic wisdom. And Law 48, the final law, closes the book with a concept of enormous philosophical depth. Assume formlessness. The most adaptable thing in nature is water. It has no fixed form. It shapes itself to whatever contains it and flows around any obstacle. The most dangerous illusion in the pursuit of power is rigidity. The moment you become fixed in your methods, your identity, or your strategy, you become vulnerable. The greatest power is the ability to change shape entirely when circumstances demand it. Now here is where we need to step back and talk about what this book actually is, because there is a massive misunderstanding about the 48 laws of power that has shaped how people receive it. Greene is not telling you to go out and manipulate everyone around you. He is not endorsing ruthlessness as a personal philosophy. What he is doing is something far more sophisticated. He is conducting an autopsy on power itself. He is laying out on the table everything that has ever driven human conflict, ambition, betrayal, and triumph, and saying, look at this, understand it, because whether you choose to use these laws or not, other people around you are using them on you right now. Think about the laws that seem the most cynical. Never trust friends more than enemies. Keep your hands clean. Play on people's need to believe. Every single one of these has a corresponding defensive application. If you understand Law 2, you can recognize when someone is cultivating you as a useful enemy rather than a genuine ally. If you understand Law 27, you can see when someone is engineering a cult of belief around themselves rather than offering genuine value. If you understand Law 12, you know that a sudden, unexpected gesture of generosity might be the setup to something else entirely. This is Greene's real gift to readers, not a playbook for villains, a decoder ring for reality. There is also a deeper philosophical thread running through all 48 laws that does not get discussed enough. Greene is fundamentally a Stoic in the tradition of Machiavelli and Nietzsche. He believes the world has a nature and that nature does not care about your wishes or your goodness. Power is energy. It flows according to principles. If you understand those principles, you can navigate by them. If you do not, you will be at the mercy of those who do. His ideal reader is someone who has been hurt by naivety, someone who gave trust freely and was betrayed, someone who worked hard and was overlooked, someone who played by the rules and watched rule breakers win. He is not turning innocent people into cynics. He is giving already wounded people a framework for understanding why they got wounded and how to make sure it does not happen again. The book also rewards rereading at different life stages. When you first read it in your 20s, certain laws seem obvious and others seem almost shocking. When you read it in your 30s after experiencing real organizational politics, betrayal, and professional disappointment, different laws light up with recognition. Oh, that is what was happening in that situation. Oh, that is why that person behaved that way. The book becomes a retroactive map of experiences you already lived through, but did not understand at the time. Let us talk about some of the most commonly misapplied laws, because a lot of people who claim to follow the 48 laws of power are actually applying them in self-defeating ways. The most commonly misapplied is Law 3, about concealing intentions. A lot of people interpret this as meaning you should be secretive with everyone all the time. That is not the law. The law is about strategic concealment in competitive contexts. In your personal relationships, in your collaborations, in your creative partnerships, transparency and openness are not weaknesses. They are foundations. The law applies to competitive maneuvering, not to all of human life. Law 7, about getting others to do the work while taking credit, is misread by a lot of ambitious but inexperienced people as an instruction to be parasitic. But Greene is really talking about leverage and leadership. The greatest leaders build systems where talented people's efforts flow through their vision and amplify it. That is not theft. That is architecture. And Law 15 about crushing your enemy totally is perhaps the most inflammatory sounding law in the book, but its real application is about decisiveness and not leaving unresolved conflicts to fester. In most professional and personal contexts, this means addressing conflicts clearly and completely, rather than letting them simmer into something more dangerous later. The 48 Laws of Power is ultimately a book about one of the oldest and most fundamental human drives, the desire to matter, to have influence, to not be helpless in a world that can be arbitrary, cruel, and indifferent. Every law in this book points back to that central hunger, the hunger to understand the game well enough to play it deliberately instead of stumbling through it. Greene published this book in 1998, and the world has changed enormously since then. Social media, the attention economy, remote work, global organizations, and digital communication have all shifted the specific arenas where power is exercised. But the fundamental human nature that Greene was studying has not changed at all. Insecurity, ambition, loyalty, betrayal, the need for identity and status, the fear of obscurity and irrelevance. These are as present in a comment section as they were in the court of Versailles. In fact, many people argue that the 48 Laws of Power is more relevant today than it was when it was written, because the number of arenas where power dynamics play out has exploded. You do not just navigate power at work or in your family. You navigate it in your online presence, in your network, in the way your digital identity is perceived and judged by people who have never met you in person. Every law about reputation, spectacle, and identity has found an entirely new theater to play out in. If there is one overarching takeaway from all 48 laws taken together, it is this: awareness is the foundation of all strategic action. Before you can make good moves, you need to understand the board you are playing on. Before you can influence others, you need to understand what actually drives them beneath the surface. Before you can protect yourself, you need to recognize the patterns of how people pursue their interests at your expense. Robert Greene did not invent any of the insights in this book. He assembled them from history, from philosophy, from biography, and from the long record of human ambition and its consequences. What he gave us is a synthesis, a single framework that makes visible patterns that were always there but often invisible to those living through them. Whether you read this book and choose to use its laws offensively, defensively, or simply as a lens for understanding the world more clearly, one thing is certain: you cannot unread it. The patterns it reveals have a way of appearing everywhere once you have been introduced to them. In meetings, in negotiations, in friendships, in politics, in art, in sport. The logic of power is woven into every human interaction, and now you have a vocabulary for seeing it. That is the real power of the 48 Laws of Power. Not that it turns you into a master manipulator. It is that it turns you into a master observer. And in any game, understanding what is actually happening is always the first and most essential move. If you found this valuable and want to go deeper into books that decode human behavior, strategy, and psychology, make sure you subscribe, because we go inside these ideas at a level you are not going to find in a 5-minute summary video. Drop in the comments below which of the 48 laws hit hardest for you personally, and if you have had a real-life experience where one of these laws played out, I want to hear that story. Next video, we are going inside another book that will change the way you see the world, and you are going to want to be here for it.